antlers, assumptions, and artillery. His sweat hits the floor with a sound more akin to a fist slamming into another man as he struggles to lift the extreme weight. His lungs burn and his heart pounds. The air under heavy gravity is denser and harder to breathe. It's like the air being both too dry and too wet to properly breathe at the same time as his entire body screams at him. The weight rises under a shaking grip as the enormous weight is raised over his head, held, and then he redirects it so it doesn't fall on his head and embed him in the floor like a nail. The machinery around him shifts and twists, and inertial dampeners kick in to absorb the impact as the higher gravity suddenly lets off. The air in his lungs is forcibly expelled as his entire body fights against the painful but not dangerous decompression. He runs Axiom through himself to speed up the healing, and his forming bruises fade away before they can even form. Axiom, used within acceptable parameters, 600 pounds successfully lifted at 10 times galactic standard gravity. New personal best. The machines around him state, and there's suddenly applause, even as the green beam of light slowly moves down from the ceiling and cleans away the sweat and grime that had been pouring off him in rivers. Holly is leading the applause and clearly very amused as her class is openly staring, even as they follow her lead, including little Ashina, who is stunned at the mere sight of him and is only vaguely banging her claws together. "So how long until you think you beat that?" Holly asks him, and he chuckles. "Give me a month, I'll add another 25 on it. But I'm going to need a lot of protein between then and now," he says, cracking his neck. He grabs his water and drains it in a single pull. He then pulls out a protein bar from his pocket, and Les eats it and more swallows it. "I take it you're ready for lunch?" "I'm ready for an entire pig on a spit," he replies, and Holly laughs as a few of her herbivore students suddenly pull a face. She looks back at the girls and snorts in amusement. "If you think that's gross, girls, then you're not going to go very far. Meat is the most energy and protein-dense food that's not a straight-up powder, paste, or a brick like he just ate." "Yeah, that thing was pretty tasteless," Bjorn notes. "I'm going to go through my cooldown now, so if you need me, I'm running some obstacle courses in the Hologym." "Set it to private. I don't want my girls to just stare as you move," Holly tells him, and he chuckles. "All right, see you in a bit," he says, slotting his water bottle into the refilling station, and in moments he has a big cold refill. He walks into the holo room, and the door closes behind him. Holly turns back to her class and starts moving to provide the example. "Okay, girls, back to our own exercise. We just took a bit of a longer break than I was hoping, but back to it. Come on, follow me. Get your knees up and keep your arms out. We're running in place to increase our stamina and flexibility. If you're easily getting your knees up, you can fly up and down stairs. It won't matter how uneven the terrain is. You're going to soar over it without needing whatever wings you may or may not have." She continues them through the routine until they get into leg extensions and lifts to increase core strength. It's only when they're finishing up the second set of 3 and going for their break before their third that Bjorn emerges from the Hologym, rolling his neck and smiling. "All right, I need to clean off. I'll see you in a bit," he promises Holly, walking by her, and she moves to kiss him on the cheek, and he shifts to make it a quick peck on the lips. A jaunty salute as he then slides away and heads to the showers. Holly offers her class a smug grin even as she licks her lips. "How do you not have 100 children?" one of them asks. "What makes you think I don't?" Holly teases. The girl more says than asks as she gestures to Holly's figure. "Strong pectorals will make them look even bigger." Holly says a completely misguiding truth, and the class's minds begin visibly shifting. Then she laughs. "The actual answer is we've been together for less than a year. We're also both very career-focused, so we use protection. We need to make sure that our little ones will have all they'll ever want first. Also, we need to build the herd first," Holly admits. "Does that mean—" one of her students begins, and the stern look Holly gives them is a definitive no. "Fine. All right, that's break enough, girls. We have one last round, so follow me. Get those knees up," Holly announces, and the class is shortly following her lead again. By the time Bjorn emerges from the showers, thoroughly scrubbed off and dressed in fresh clothing, the girls are panting to regulate their bodily temperatures. They're not used to heavy exercise, so their automatic Axiom compensations aren't tuned to the level they need to be. Still, it's more efficient being that it's effectively literal magic compared to sweating. Also cleaner as the girls gather their things again and start to leave. Ashina stays behind. The petulant and disrespectful girl has been cowed very thoroughly, especially around Bjorn for some reason, which Holly picked up earlier but hadn't had any time to question about. So, is there a reason you're afraid of Bjorn now? She just goes right for the prize, and Ashina looks from her to Bjorn quickly before swallowing. My mother brought a video of one of her tests in the Undaunted, but she had also requested a video of him in action so I would know just how close to death I came, Ashina says as she stares at Bjorn and glances at his hands. He holds them up and raises an eyebrow. Blue or red? He asks. Blue, she answers, and he nods. Holly just looks confused. I'm pretty sure the ones I've seen put you up against simulations that bleed red and not blue, Holly says. I get got by the nerds more often than I like to admit. One of them put me through the Clone Wars from Star Wars and had me take the place of a prisoner to start. They then marched up some massive, howling, screaming insect thing with numerous deadly claws to try and kill me as I was tied up. It was fast enough and strong enough to catch the chain I tore from the pillar and snap it. And trying to wrestle with its claws would come up against the fact that the many-legged monster still had a jaw of sharp teeth and more legs than I could pin and outmuscle. Oh, what did you do? Well, first was the old classic of throwing sand in the eyes, or rather the eyes and mouth. Then I got right under it where it struggled to reach me before reaching up and squeezing its abdomen until it popped. That was messy, but it had zero quit in it, so I had to crush its head as well. It bled blue. Oh, so pinned and fighting a monster. Was that all? Well, after that was an army several 100,000 strong of mass-produced battle robots. Most used plasma, but there were enough with small and powerful rockets that I had to move fast and carefully. The sound of the plasma fire completely covered the rockets, so movement was the answer, he says. Wait, that kept going? Ashina asks, and Bjorn nods. The fight with the monster was just the opening act. Why did it freak you out? Because I attacked you and there's no way I'm stronger or tougher than that thing you popped like a berry. When I attacked you, you could have killed me. You had several literal death grips on me. I only have my tail tip and stinger because you were playing nice, Ashina explains. And you're not rejuvenated. You're so young, you're closer to being my brother. We could have been born of the same clutch. And, he asks, and you could crush me to pulp with your bare hands. We're close in age, but I've had the whole galaxy my whole life. I've had access to lasers, plasma, and the knowledge of those going back longer than your race has had fire, and you're still, she trails away. Ah, Bjorn notes. Ah, what? Ashina demands, not seeing that her mother has entered the gym and is walking up on very, very quiet feet. You thought you were the toughest girl around, didn't you? Daughter of the mafia queen that couldn't be killed, and maybe a day or two at most from all but having an entire arcology of your own, Bjorn asks her, and Mangowa outright freezes as she starts to listen. Something like that. Mom didn't just show me what she can do or what you can do, but she got a bunch of declassified mission recordings. When people can fight that hard, how can anyone rule anything? How can anyone be in charge if someone can just flip out and decide to start throwing around black holes or energy beams that can reduce stone to vapor? Generally by having someone that scary on your side, or, trusting that other people aren't crazy, stupid, and suicidally homicidal, Bjorn says with a shrug. Trust? Ashina asks. The most valuable coin that has never been minted, Mangowa says, and Ashina turns in shock. Bjorn and Holly duck under Ashina's tail. It wasn't an attack, but when you spin that fast, it's the basic laws of reaction say that something else is moving. Before Ashina can say anything, Mangowa puts her pincers on her daughter's shoulders. You've woken up and started to see. At last. What? You can't get anywhere if you have no idea where you're going. Now you see just what kind of opposition is out there if you want to be part of the stung. Many girls live their entire lives just moment to moment, never considering what's next, living small but good lives, harmless, purposeless. It is the cruelest thing to wake them up, but you sometimes have to, Mangowa says. Not how I'd put it, but we're clearly intruding on mother-daughter time. Holly, I think I can hear lunch calling. Care to join me? He asks her, and she laughs a little. Humans and your appetites, Holly mutters. Actually, if you don't mind a moment, I would like to ask you a few questions to put some things in perspective for Ashina, Migala says, and Bjorn pauses. Sure, what do you need to know? The initial Undaunted training was said to be insanely hard. Could you describe part of it? Migala asks, and Bjorn considers. Well, we had to go through 8 hours in a day in physical training, weapon drills and lessons in vehicle use and repair, weapon creation and maintenance, and when all the sheer amount of physical or practical training was done, then we had another 4 hours at least of intellectual lessons, such as learning galactic trade, in the span of 2 years, as well as numerous political, tactical, and strategic texts. The sheer bleeding edge of currently understood science, advanced mathematics, physics, and what information we had of the galaxy at large. And that was just to start. We also participated in building a capital-scale warship with some otherwise very limited tech, Bjorn says, and Ashina just stares. Oh, and we did all that without Axiom to help. So every iota of energy had to be gained from eating. We couldn't speed up healing or learning, and if you got badly injured, then you were just out. One of the guys I thought would go all the way snapped his ankle at the wrong time and had to be left behind for the next ship. Meaning, you had to be insanely enduring, ridiculously athletic and smart on a level that few people could touch, on top of being lucky as well. Oh, so you're better than the best of the best. 8 billion people on my homeworld. 5,000 soldiers went out on the first ship, which means that I'm literally better than 1 in a million, he says before smirking. Of course, with how many millions of people there are out in the galaxy, that means I get to find plenty of peers. But then that means there's nothing stopping you from being this strong too. Only yourself, Migala says, and Ashina just stares at her.